Okay. All right. Welcome. We had a little difficulty getting her going. Jill is not home tonight, and so Jim had to hook up his computer and get everything situated. Believe it or not, I don't do it. I just come after they've got up and I sit down and I do my thing, but I don't really know how they do all the hookup. Believe that? And things look a little different. Like I'm looking at the Baker's Green Acres behind me and it's reversed. All right. So I know that's not right, but hey, we'll be okay. All right. Justin with us and Lenny's with us. Justin's giving me a hard time. Yeah. All right. So I had to bow out. I had a piano recital that I needed to go to, and I wasn't aware of that on Friday. Okay. So I thought it was better to just let you all know that I wouldn't be in and beg for forgiveness instead of something else. You know, if I missed the recital, I'd have been in deep doo-doo. Okay, so today is, let's see, May 24th, 22. I'm Mark, your host, coming to you from Baker's Acres. Tuesday, Keith is with us, right on. Yeah, things seem to be working pretty good. Our counter's working, so that's good. What a day. Okay, so Tuesdays, usually I have Joe, and we do things like filming and 2-Minute Tuesday and things like that. And we did quite a few 2-Minute Tuesdays today. We did a couple or 2 or 3, right? So sometimes we'll do a couple at a time, and then they go in the can, and then he'll pull them out when the time is right. So that's what we did today. We had a nice day here today. Beautiful, sunny skies. Little on the, wasn't hot, so it was a nice day to do some work. And we decided that we would do a little filming, a little bit of media work, and then we would get over to the campground and start working on that because we hope to open up the campground for Memorial Day weekend. That is our thought, that we can have it ready by then. And we will be posting it on Hipcamp. So if you are interested at all in doing some camping on Memorial Day weekend, Baker's Green Acres could be your next destination. I made a video today and I posted it in the tribe. Beth had said, can you do a video on it? And so I said I would. That it's really a neat thing that you can do if you have a farm. Hipcamp is, if you look into it, it's sort of like Airbnb, but the type of people who search Hipcamp are a little more on the adventurer side. So let's say you have a tree house and you want to put it on Hipcamp for somebody to come and stay in your treehouse. You will get people to come and stay in your treehouse. So we have kind of a unique spot. It's right on our fence line. It's to the east, and so it would be a sun-up spot. Really nice. I mean, got a beautiful field there and just pristine woods and deep view. So it's not like right woods right there. You can see quite a ways. And I live on a quite road. We get a car like every 3 hours. We'll have a car go by, and that's about it. We'll have a few in the morning, people going to work, and then a few in the afternoon. But during the day, there's really not much going on. School bus comes by at 3. So it's really quiet. It's a nice location, nice vegetation. Uh-oh, looked like I froze up there for a minute. So I think this is going to be kind of nice. We originally, had campers staying on the farm during our classes. You know, people would bring in their fifth wheels and stuff, and they would stay. And we didn't really have any place for them, but we just let them, hey, yeah, park over there, it'll be fine. You know? But then I thought it would be kind of nice to have dedicated areas. So if a person comes, let's say, to a class and they want to bring their family with them, they would have a place to park their family while they're doing their class. And there'll be a place to have a campfire and a picnic table and all that stuff. Right now, we got about 6 hard spots, and there's water at them. So that's all we have right now. Electrical's not going to happen probably this year, unless come Memorial Day, it's like everyth's booked and it books out all summer. Then I would say, okay, we can invest some money over here. But I want to see if this is going to work before, you know, we really get involved with it. Running electrical is a little on the expensive side. Water, not so much. Water can be done quite easily. So that's what we did today. I hear people barking and I hear a vehicle has pulled in. I'm waiting on some chicken feed, a big load of chicken feed. Hey, Jim. And that's it. Okay. Hey. Okay. It's been a few days late now. I've been wondering where he was, but hey, can you come here for a minute? I need you to do something. On the bottom of the feed bin, right, there's a faceplate that's open, right? I opened it up so it would dry out. Can you just take like 3 feed sacks and stuff them in there, just so the feed doesn't leak out, and then I'll put the plate on later. But whatever you do, don't turn the auger on because it'll pull them in. All right, thanks. All right, great. So what we did today was we worked on the picnic tables. We did some sanding on them. We put some paint on that are going to be facing the sky. So when it rains, you know, it'll shed the, sprayed the bottom part of the tables down with linseed oil cut with paint thinner. It does a really nice job on rough cut wood. It'll suck it right up and it gives a little bit more life to the wood. You can do it every couple of years, actually. And you just use a sprayer to put it on. We put the steel on the lean. We built a little common area, and we put the steel on yesterday. And that was a big day because I had to get up and launch out of here and get the steel. I ordered it up Friday. Get it home, and then my son Kyle here, and he helped me put it on. Actually, I helped him put it on, right? So he was up in the majority of the screws. I was just sliding the steel to him, 14-foot sheets. So got that done, and that's a big bite. Getting that done, that was great to get that done. And let's see. Today we mowed both lawn mowing, and I had to get the hay bine out, and I had to make a couple passes in front of the campsites because the hay is up pretty high, and my mower just wouldn't handle it. So, and it would have taken me a real long time. So I needed to get the hay bine out and get it tuned up anyway. So that got done. A lot of the media work got done. So we got the pictures taken to send into Hipcamp. So that should be done by the end of the week. So we're really rolling on this, and everybody's quite excited. This is something that you should think about on your homestead. What we talk about a lot on homesteads is having multiple streams of income. You should have like 10. That's what they say. I don't know. Usually when the people that say that are talking about when you have businesses, okay, so you own this business and you own this business and you own this business, and they are all paying you a little bit per month. On the homestead, I don't know, 10 would be a lot, but it's doable. What we wanted to talk about tonight was fear versus solutions. Okay, it's something that, boom, hit me in the face this morning. Joe got over here, and I don't think he was feeling too good, but I was like, do you realize this? Do you realize that? I was really amped up. Got a good night's sleep last night. When I got home from the recital, we had some roast beef, and I sliced off some pieces about 3/4 of an inch, fried those babies in butter, and then I sat and I ate them. And that was like superfood while I was sleeping, and really, really pumped me up. So I want to talk about that tonight, but I also am looking more lately at the homestead as a really versatile and functional business foundation. You know, who would know? Who would think? But when I think back, my wife's grandfather had a farm, and out of that farm, he had a herd of Jersey cows. He milked a little, did a lot of field work, cut a lot of hay, things like that. He blew an occasional pond here and there. He's quite a guy. But he also ran a road striping business out of the homestead, out of the farm. And it started out quite small, but then it got quite big and finally wound up being sold. Right. Joel's grandfather has passed away for about 10 years now. And, but, he ran out of the farm. That was where he ran his business, out of the farm. So I think the homestead is a good place to run a business out of. You could do anything you want. So long as it's a legal function, you can do it out of your homestead. And you're creating your food there too. So you want to do a car repair, you want to do, paint cars, you want to have an embroidery business, you want to have a seamstress operation. I mean, the list goes on and on. Food processing, food production, food delivery. If you wanted to have a cold storage on your property, that would be a thing. Could be a thing. Not something I would particularly want to do, but it could be a thing. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Greenhousing, starting plants, making wine, making beer, having a cafe on your farm, having a camping operation on your farm, midwifery on your farm. I happen to have quite a bit of experience with that, having heard about 3 of my children, three or 4, I don't know, out of the 8. So there's a myriad of things that you can do, and you shouldn't. I don't think I'm going to think of the homestead as, well, it's just a place where we grow food, we feed out some steers, and we have vegetable garden and stuff. Yeah, but don't limit it there. You could have a welding business out of here. You could have a manufacturing business. You can make things, making bird houses, piano tuning. I can think of a whole bunch of things. Chimney cleaning. We actually have a friend that has a porta potty business out of his farm. There's a ton of things that you can do, and the homestead is a good place to start. It's a good place to live. You got space, so you can have your equipment and stuff. So it's good. So tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about fear versus solutions. So I got up this morning, and of course, I want to look at the news and see if they threw old Hillary Clinton into Huskow. You kind of have that feeling like maybe something good happened, right? Some of our people that listen to the show might really like Hillary Clinton. I don't like her, and if they did throw her in jail, I don't know if I would believe it or not. But it's like one of those things. You just, hey, maybe one of these days something cool will happen. But I got to looking through the news and headlines and stuff, and it's a solid wall of fear this, fear that. We're out of baby solution or baby food, you know, what is it? Baby formula. We're all out of baby formula. We're going to have an egg shortage here pretty soon because of the bird flu. And they're not going to be selling bananas at the store anymore. We're going to have a banana shortage, because of the monkeypox and this, that, and the other thing. So you got a lot of things that you should be scared of, and you keep getting hit with it, even though the majority of us don't even believe any of this. We did not believe the toilet paper shortage. I didn't believe that. I mean, that was so stupid, but a lot of people did, right? So, all right, Ben Carlson's with us. Haven DeZoo is with us. Haven, your operation's looking nice and straight over there. Drive by there once in a while. Looks good. Brittany's with us. All right, cool. Got a nice crowd. So, all this fear is steadily flowing in. So that means that there must be somebody receiving this, all right? There's got to be. Or else they would say, well, this ain't working. Let's try something else. But it is, they're given a steady flow. So it is being received by some people. And hey, there's not much we can do about that. I think at this point, if a person wants to believe in murder hornets and monkeypox and Omicron and the Wu flu and egg shortages and chicken shortages, and let's see, what else have we had in the last couple of years that have happened? Oh, everything to do with the vaccine, one way or the other. I bought into it too. I wasn't certainly going to get it, but I kind of bought into thousands will die this fall. I bought into that, and that worried me. But can you imagine if you had gotten that vaccine, how worried you would be? So there was all these things to be worried about and to initiate fear. And I've said this before. I mean, you guys know this. This has been going on for a while, and it's going to continue, right? It's going to continue. But let's play a little game tonight, because this conversation went on around my breakfast table this morning, and I said to the people who listen to me, which most of them are minors, but I like to challenge them to think, should we listen to these things and have the reaction that they want us to have? Like the Omicron story came out, and it was meant to not give you the heads up. It was meant to scare you, right? I would say. I guess that's an opinion right there. That's an opinion. Maybe Omicron was really real, and they were just telling you so you wouldn't borrow, somebody's handkerchief after they just blew their nose in it or something. Just giving you the heads up. All right, I think the feed truck, yes, he is leaving. Okay, he's going to drive right through. That means they'll be sending an invoice. That's good, because I don't want to break off right now. Something's fishy though, because we ordered this feed. Ooh, it was supposed to be here last Thursday, and then the guy called and he says, "Be there Saturday for sure." And we had company Saturday night, and I was like, that guy's going to show up at 9:30, and I'm going to have to break off what I'm doing. But he didn't show up. So here it is, Tuesday. So these guys are usually right on the money. This is an outfit. These guys were Amish, but then they said, I don't want to be Amish anymore. They still kind of dress Amish and cut their hair Amish, but they drive, So they set up businesses, and they're very good business people. They're very punctual, and I think they're quite honest. and just nice people. This guy that drives the truck, he comes and he usually has like 3 kids in the truck with him, and they're just out for the day, seeing the countryside when they're delivering feed. Anyway, we ordered feed that will be enough for the summer, because we don't. We'll get two tons at a time, but I think Jill ordered 5 this time, because we want to make sure that if we do go ahead and get the chickens, we're going to be able to feed them out. Didn't know if that was the case. I mean, we hear the same thing that everybody else hears. Oh, there's going to be a feed shortage, and I don't know. I don't know if there is. I think it's just like they're trying to scare you into. But maybe here we bought 5 tons of feed, where normally we would get 2, because we don't want it to get stale. That's our thinking. But this time we said we get 5, so maybe everybody else is getting 5. So maybe there will be a feed shortage. Who knows? We shall see. We shall see. But I would like to play a little bit of an exercise tonight, or let's participate in a little exercise. If you guys want to tell me something that you have seen, something that's been on the legacy media, or even in alternative media. Alternative media lately has been real heavy with fear, real heavy, and I guess fear sells. There's a couple of homesteading channels that I started to kind of listen to. When I listen to a homesteading channel, I want to learn how to do stuff, and I want to hear innovative stuff. I don't really need to hear somebody say, "Hey, there's going to be a food shortage. You better start growing tomatoes." I don't need to hear that anymore, and that's why I don't really harp on that with you guys. I do say it a little, because we have new people coming in all the time, and I don't want them to think that, hey, he's not concerned with that, so maybe I shouldn't be concerned with that. I am always concerned with that. You have to cover your bases in this life. When I go to bed at night, I want to make sure that certain things are done. And in the course of my day, I'm thinking, is this done? Is this done? Is this done? Okay, then, my responsibilities have been fulfilled. Now I've got a bunch of kids that I need to feed here. I've got a bunch of animals that I have to feed. I have operations that are moving forward. So there's a lot of things that I have to do. It's not like I'm so swamped. It's just you have to constantly think of these things, and feeding your family is very important. I think you should be thinking about that. And if somebody's rattling a saber someplace saying there's going to be food shortages, I don't think you can just say, well, I don't think that's true. I know people that do. I've heard it. I've even talked to people that says, well, I guess we'll be coming to your house. And I say, well, if that's what you're going to do, you better let me know right now, because I'm going to have to start getting some resources from you in order to lay in enough food for you, because I don't just have it. People say things like that. Oh yeah, we'll be coming to your house. Oh yeah, well, you'll be turning around, and then you won't like me anymore because you don't have enough for everybody. Maybe we will open something up, and that's kind of what I would like to talk about tonight. Like, okay, so let's say that there is a problem, and I am not here to say that there won't be a problem. I'm just saying that, let's say there is a problem. How do we approach that? Everybody's heard the saying, well, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I've heard it so much I don't even want to hear it anymore, because lemons aren't necessarily bad, and lemonade ain't necessarily good. But sometimes on the homestead, we like to talk about assets and liabilities. And when you get a liability thrown at you, let's turn that into an asset. And I am actually learning quite a few interesting things about how money works and how that our liabilities that face us on the farm can even be an asset to us monetarily, right? And the more I learn about this, the more I will bring to you. But right now, I'm really just a novice as far as that goes. I told you guys that I wound up listening to a guy last week accidentally, but he was talking about how money works and how you can stay poor. Um, and it was a really interesting presentation. I just leave it at that. I don't really want to go into that too much. I can tell you who the guy is, just because I can go in history and I can find this guy, because I've recommended him to several people, and maybe it'll help somebody. Okay, but let me keep talking while I'm looking for this guy. And since I listened to this guy, there's been several others that have come my way, because there are a lot of people that talk about this, about putting money to work for you, having your money work for you. Robert Kiyosaki is big. He's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and very good, very good. Okay, here's the one right here. It's How They Keep You Poor. It's on YouTube. It was an interview with a guy by the name of Lewis Howes, Howes. It's got 1.5 million views, right? And the guy who's being interviewed is an Indian. I think he's a Sikh. And, he's got a turban and a long black beard. And he's from Detroit, right? So when I heard him start talking, I thought, okay, I'll listen to this guy. And then I looked at him and I'm like, whoa, that wasn't what I was expecting. But really good presentation about how money works. And I've been applying that to the homestead, like how, you can have more than one LLC on the homestead. You can have, like, on our homestead, we have Baker's Green Acres, and then there's the Anyone Can Farm Experience. The education falls under the Anyone Can Farm Experience, although you can access it from bakersgreenacres.com. And then there will be probably several others. We livestock division, I guess, just me and Joan and the kids. But in order to move money around in a smart way, that's how you do that, right? So I don't know. What's the quote about having the power to do the thing? It's Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's if you do the thing, you will have the power. If you do not do the thing, you will not have the power. Right? There's a surely in there someplace. If you do not do the thing, you surely will not have the power. So a good way to illustrate that is, okay, the Small Farms conference here in Michigan. When it started out, I think in like 5 or 6. Hold on, I gotta shut too much noise. Get that dog out of here. Sorry. When the Small Farms Conference started, it used to be literally, I'm out of the service. Now I'm here. I'm all alone on this farm, kind of. I didn't have anybody around me. I didn't know anybody. And literally, the Small Farms Conference became very quickly my favorite thing to do. It was just a one-day deal. They would have it at high schools, or they had it at a church one time, a real big, like a mega church type place. Excuse me. And you'd go there and you'd have a list of blocks that you could attend, blocks of instruction. And these are just guys like us that got good at something and are willing to share it. And it was put together by the Small Farms Council. And I really don't know who that was, honestly. But it wasn't long before it switched over and it was taken over by the extension, the university extension, which I don't have a problem with the extension so much. Some of the extension guys are pretty good. They're pretty knowledgeable about things. And I really wish they'd come around more. They stay away from me pretty good. I'm not on any of their mailing lists anymore. But what the extension service did with Small Farms Council is, or Small Farms Conference, is they put a bunch of people from the university as the instructors. And they were professors that professed something that they didn't do. So they were just kind of talking heads that had a kind of a narrative that they were going to say. And because they were a professor at the university, I guess we should listen to them. But when I would listen to it, I was like, there's no way you do that. There's no way. Because you're missing a whole bunch of things. I wasn't the most experienced farmer, but I knew that they weren't the people who I wanted to be listened to. So we quit going. It became sort of a celebrity type event too, and it just lost its pizzazz. But that's a prime example. They had no power to draw a crowd of people who are doers to that. They got a bunch of people that, oh, let's go, and they serve a nice lunch, and we should go, and it's going to be at the resort. So, and it's, now it's $150 a person, so it must be good. So it just totally changed. And then they had a trade show in the basement. I went to the trade show one time, and it wasn't for us. It just wasn't for us. It was a lot of commercially created products that people were reselling and snake oil and things like that. It just wasn't for us. It wasn't real anymore. So they lost the power, right? They lost the power. So in what we're doing, especially with the tribe is a very powerful entity because we've got, I'm not sure how big the tribe is now, probably 2,000 people in the tribe. And which, in internet circles, I guess that's not really big, but we've got a bunch of trigger pullers. I mean, they are doers. When I say trigger pullers, I don't necessarily mean like a firearm. Don't take that out of context. I mean, they will set something up, set a process in motion, and then boop, pull the trigger on it, and for better or worse, you wind up with people who are experienced at things. Why? Because we don't learn from our victories as much as we learn from our mistakes. So when we enter into a new process and we have a failure, oh yeah. As a matter of fact, Dion Stumpo, I was using you as an example. I didn't use you by name today on a 2-Minute Tuesday, but it was about raising, let's see, was that about raising kids on the homestead? No, it was the homestead and perseverance. Like when you are homesteading, you're constantly faced with, should we continue doing this? This is hard. It wasn't as hard before. Is this all it was cracked up to be? So it's wintertime and I got to milk this stupid cow, and it's summertime and there's mud, and then there's getting shocked by the electric fence, and then I come home from work and the cow is dead. So what do? I persevere or quit? Well, I could see a guy saying, that's the ultimate. I love that cow. Now the cow's dead. I don't know if I can continue. Well, we were talking about that in 2-Minute Tuesday. Like, you've got to consider that before you enter into any of these processes. Let's say you drop a lot of money on a bunch of bees and you're going into your first winter. They could all be dead in the spring. They could, and then you're set back pretty good. They could. So you have to prepare yourself for that. These things can happen, and I think that's in anything you do. You put a pool in your backyard, you could wind up with a person drowned in there. You could. So you have to consider that. You have an event on your farm like a tribe day. You could have some kid climb up a tree, fall out, and break his neck. You could. So you have to consider those things and then proceed accordingly. We have been big believers in things will work out, and we've not had anything terrible. I lost a cow, but that was I brought it to somebody's house to get it bred, and they fed it a lot of bread, and then she wound up foundering or bloating, foundering. She foundered. So, and it was a shock. It was a real shock. So through that mistake, I learned, you gotta protect your resources like that. But yeah, I used you as an example today, not by name, Dion, but Jill and I, when that happened, when your cow died, we were kind of like, I wonder what'll happen here. I wonder, because I've had a pig farrow. This particular time, I was pretty new at it. They were Mangalitsa's. And so I was going out there all the time looking at them, and the wind was coming out of the southwest. The wind was coming out of the southwest. And so she was gonna farrow. She had made a nest, and it was like the opening of the hut was facing the southwest. And I thought, this is not good. And so I had to move that hut. Only problem was it was frozen to the ground. So I went out there and pushed on it, got a bar, put it under it, tried to pop it loose. No, wasn't gonna. Went out there, thought if I'll nudge it with the front end loader, that'll just pop it loose. Nope. So finally I bumped it, and I did a lot of damage to that particular hut, but it did break it loose. But it scared her, so she went running. Anyway, I clocked the hut so it was facing to the north, and she went back in. So before I went to bed, she's back in, and it was pretty cold out that night. I mean, it was below 10 degrees, and but we're going to be fine because I've moved the hut and everything will be all right. Go out there in the morning, and there's 8 really nice babies, nice big babies, beautiful stripes on them. Only problem was they're all frozen solid. They had been born, dried off, but what happened is the wind kicked out of the north. Whenever the wind comes out of the north here in the state of Michigan, we've got lakes on both sides. Whenever it comes out of the north, it's cold. So that cold air coming out of the north and really kicking was probably 10 below, plus it's moving, right? So it's the same as if you're moving, if you're on a motorcycle and you're moving through cold, if that cold air is moving across you, it is taking any heat that you have, and it's removing it from you. So that happened, and I lost that whole thing. And all I could do was hang my head and look at that and say, geez, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I've been there several times, not just with animals dying, but other things. I've been there. I've even said, that's it, I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm tired of these entities with the state. I am tired of that. I am not going to deal with this anymore. And had I quit at that point, they would have had the power. I would have left them with the power to make me quit. And so I'm really glad that I didn't. And quitting is a weird thing. You can quit today at 4 o'clock, but tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, those animals still got to be fed. And you can tell them, hey, I quit. I'm not farming anymore. And they're just screaming at you. So you're like, screw it. Feed them. And I guess I'm not quit after all. So quitting is a tough thing. I saw I think it was a poster, and it was Army Ranger, some hoorah thing, and it said, I've thought about quitting 100 times. I just never did. So perseverance is one of the solutions to fear. But let's just talk a little bit more about fear. And I'm going to go back through here and see if you've thrown anything at me that I should be afraid of. But I would like it if you would do that. Throw some things at me that I should be afraid of. Maybe you can even make some things up, and I will tell you a solution. I will just make up a solution, a viable solution, a race on the homestead, and with the homestead state of we've got to quote the homestead state of mind. It's a I am going to adapt and overcome. I am not going to let this beat me. And somehow we got to come up with a quip for that. I know Henry David Thoreau, but or Ralph Emerson, but I think we should be able to come up with something. The food shortage, we were talking about that this morning at the dinner table or the breakfast table. And I said, if that happened, if that really happened, and let's say there was a shortage of food, like the stores, there was no food. You know what I would do? Even with gasoline at $10 a gallon, let's say gasoline is $20 a gallon, even. I think I would pick out I would go to my neighbor, right? And I'd say, you don't have a cow for sale, do you? And you'd say, well, yeah, that one right over there. You can buy that one. What do you give me for it? What do you get to trade? I got some chickens. Yeah, we'd love to have some chickens. And then give us some of that beef, and you can have that cow. All right, cool. Even if it's not really a great cow, let's say it's like kind of an old milk cow. And then I bring that milk cow home, dress her down, strip all that meat off, run it through the grinder, every last bit of it, and pack it all into 2-pound tubes, freeze it solid, put 2 coolers in my man van, put I have a speaker, right? A speaker that I can play anything I want on my cell phone, and it will play on this speaker, right? I'm sure people have seen that, but this one is different. This one is got a magnetic base. I could stick it on top of the man, right? And I could go driving over in Cadillac, and it would be like the old ice cream trucks. And I could find a rendition of Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for me. Land setting up so far and wide. Keep Manhattan, but give me that countryside, right? And just play that, right? Drive through and yell out, got your hamburger here. Hamburger for sale. Got your hamburger. And people, if there's truly a food shortage, people be running out of their homes like, I'll take some of that. And hey, we didn't pay much for the cow. We just put a lot of time into it. It's not like we got to sell for a killer price. But let's say I've got 200 coolers full of hamburger, and I home with no hamburger. I can guarantee that it might be money, it might be who knows, but there you turn that fear thing. Whenever fear comes your way, you should have this little flag that goes up like, hey, wait a minute here. I'm not going to get afraid of this. I'm going to see an opportunity here. There's got to be an opportunity, right? So let's say the midwifery services in the area that I live, right? I've got experience. I dabble in quite a few things, and midwifery is one of the things that I've dabbled in, and I'm quite good at it actually. My hands are a little big, but that's okay because I'm a farmer. So there's opportunity right there. Right? I'm saying that for somebody's benefit. I had mentioned one time that I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life at one point, but I thought maybe I would be a gynecologist or a farmer. And then I said that I still dabble in gynecology from time to time. And a certain person thought that was pretty funny. I don't know. At least I would enjoy my work, I suppose. All right. So, hey, Haven's got a good one. I just want to tell you a story. Last night when I was at the recital, I ran into a guy that doesn't normally talk to me very much, but I said, how you doing? He said, how you doing? We wound up getting in a conversation, and on his mind was, diesel, so expensive, and it's going to send food right through the roof, and I got this job that I go to, and I come home, and then I got to go up to the store, and I got to buy food, and it's getting really expensive. Just getting there is going to cost me a lot of money, and I could tell that it was burdening this individual, and I wanted to say something like, I'm not too worried about it. And I said to him, and it kind of got him by surprise, I think. But I said, it's kind of exciting, isn't it? And he's like, exciting? I said, yeah. Didn't you ever watch The Waltons? I mean, here's a big family right in the middle of the Depression, but yet every episode of The Waltons, they have a problem and they solve the problem, And when the problem is solved, you get this dopamine hit, and you feel really good about yourself, and you feel like, gee, I wish I grew up in the Depression. Well, I don't really wish that, but I remember watching the Waltons when I was a kid, thinking, it looked like a good way of life. They go fishing with Grandpa, and they're working in the sawmill at home, and John Boy is counseling the kids, and Elizabeth is sitting on Pa's lap, and they eat, and I don't know, it just looked like a good way of life. It actually looked pretty good to me. Well, we're supposedly in those times right now, and you can still enjoy your life. I know you're getting hit with all this fear. Oh, gasoline's going to be $6.50. Life is going to end at $6.50. No, it isn't. You may have to make some adjustments, but make the adjustments and press on, right? Like, maybe you'll have to call your neighbor. Hey, I noticed you drive by, and I have seen you in the same town that I work in. You want a carpool? Good idea. So then, even though fuel is $6.50, if there's two of you riding in the same vehicle, now fuel is $3.25. Hey, we should get another guy to ride with us, and it will be even cheaper. And then you start riding together with people to work, and turns out you start having fun on the way to work instead of just zoning out. Actually, cheap fuel is a bad thing. We had this thing going on in the Air Force. I'll never forget this. I saw the impact of this. I saw this right with my own eyes. Towards the end of my career, I was working for base support group, or they call it base cadre. So we ran a lot of things and managed a lot of facilities and things like that. And as an older guy, you are there for the younger guys. You know, that's the whole idea. And I guess the Air Force got a hold of a bunch of money, so they moved away from 2 people in a room, 2 airmen in a room, to 1 airman in a room. So one guy had this room, and it was really small, and you shared a bathroom with the guy next door. But you may never see that guy next door because, you know, you're not going to be in the bathroom at the same time. You go in there and you lock the door, I guess, if you're going to, whatever. Most guys never did that. They didn't lock the doors. It was always like in the girls' dormitory that the girls would go in. They'd lock the door because they didn't want some other girl coming in to see them on the tan or whatever. And then they'd forget. And then this other girl would have to get in there, so they'd have to call somebody to come and open the door. But it really changed things because you got 2 dudes in a room, both wake up in the morning, let's say on a Saturday morning. Are you doing it today? No, I'm not doing anything today. What do you want to do? Well, let's do this. And they hook up with a couple other guys that are going to do something. And before you know it, they got things going on. And there used to be a lot more trouble then, but the guys were having fun. They were enjoying their time in the military. But then when they went to the single room, guy would wake up in the morning, turn the TV on, and then be sitting there until all day watching TV because there was nobody to say, come on, let's go do something. Don't do this. Don't be watching TV. SpongeBob will be on later. And so dynamic carries over to carpooling. You know, if everybody's zoned out, driving into work, there's not as much fun. It's just not as much fun. It's fun carpooling, right? So I think a lot of good could come from this. And then people have to, well, gee, there's no toilet paper at the store. Let me put on my thinking cap. What else could I do to wipe my bum? Let's just, man, if you're carpooling, you can kind of talk about it in the carpool. Well, I don't know. Leaves? Oh, better not, because you can't identify poison ivy. Ha, ha, ha. You know, you would think of things. Okay, we don't have any meat because of the food shortage. Gee, what's a viable solution? Well, I ride with a guy that took a class on how to butcher pigs. Maybe he could help us out. I know a guy over here that's got some pigs. See, so you would find solutions to these things. And that's why I think this is actually kind of a good thing. I don't think it's kind of a good thing. I think it's a really good thing. All right. Americans have gotten so soft and so dumb about how to survive. Now hopefully there is a food shortage and they get a real, you know, I know I might be called on the carpet for that, like hoping for a problem. But yeah. Okay, so let me review here what you guys have thrown at me for problems. I haven't been reading this, and I'm sorry. Oh, wow. This is going to be a challenge because, I don't have the mouse working. So can I do it without the mouse? Yes, I can. Okay. Okay. What's the quote? Okay, Dion says, what's the quote? Uh-oh. Ooh, this is tricky. Uh-oh. This is really tricky. Okay, if it gets bad, okay, this is from Inga. If it gets bad, shall slaughter one animal every Saturday for the public. Gives you 6 days of less stress, and people have 6 days to help you return the favor. Yeah, not a bad idea. See? I wouldn't know that. I would not have it for you, Inga. So maybe we should carpool. You could turn your campground into a village in bad times. Lots of farm hands and people that can scavenge your resources. Yeah, possibly. Possibly. Okay, Nancy's with us. Welcome. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, says Keith. Okay. Okay, Dion is saying inflation, shortages, and supplies for the homestead. Okay, as if this is okay. You're saying you want a solution for that, or you're saying, or I'm going to. Okay, we're playing the game now. Yeah, you're being the devil's advocate. Let's do that again. um, Inflation, how inflation works, how we can find our way through inflation on the homestead and find opportunities in that inflation. Okay. So inflation is a function of money, is US currency. All right. So we have inflation because, or inflation, okay, inflation, here's a way to look through this. Inflation is bad for you if you are a workaday guy and you have kind of a fixed income and you owe a certain amount and you need a certain amount to buy gasoline and insurance and things like that. Inflation is where your dollars buy less of all the things that you need. So you wind up getting less stuff for the dollars that you have. So your quality of life can go down. It can go down. So how can you on the homestead avoid that? Okay. So in my case, I'm having that because that inflation is always a little bit nebulous to me. Probably, I think Dion, you understand money pretty well. I'm just getting my arms around it right now. But inflation, okay, inflation is going to make it so my neighbors can buy less food because their dollars are going to go not as far. So they can't buy as much food. So how can I turn that lemon into lemonade? All right. So they will go to the store and there won't be as much availability at the store for them as there was before. But my availability of hamburger could be the same or more because I see this coming, right? I see it coming, so I'm going to make changes in the way I do things so that I can take advantage of a bad situation. I'm not saying we're taking advantage of the people. We're just going to take advantage of the situation to do more of something that will benefit us. Like, so when we process cows, it benefits us, but in a market where hamburger's really cheap at the store and there's lots of it, people don't come to the farm because it's a hassle. I can get it at Myers. And a lot of people are weird when they think of, it came from a farm. Even though they know that, they would rather have meat that is really anonymous than meat that came from somebody that they know. That's true. So in inflationary times, if you have product, if you're able to make things, design things, provide a service, you're sought after more, so your business can do better. And that's as far as I'm going to go on inflation, because I really don't. I'm not real solid on how inflation exactly works. I know it benefits some. It benefits people who have a tremendous amount of debt, because then their debt is not as much. and inflation comes created from printing too much money. They print too much money, and our money is just the confidence in the American government, and the confidence in the American government is not that good right now. And that's because, you know, you look at the stupid things that they're doing, and people just don't have a lot of confidence in the government right now. Okay, so let's see. Inflation, shortages of supplies for the homestead. All right, you gotta think creatively on this. So we thought there was a possibility that we would only be able to raise a limited amount of chickens this year because of a shortage of feed for the chickens. And I'm talking the chickens, you know, the double-breasted white mountain vantress and the freedom rangers, right? So when I think that there might be a shortage of feed, like let's say we called and they said, nope, can't get any more feed, then I would instantly say, okay, we're going to go with the freedom rangers, because they can actually progress on pasture. They can do pretty good on pasture. I mean, it would be nice if you can give them feed, but in my case, I have this junk bread contract. I could feed them some of that bread. I don't do that because rate of growth is slower, and it's just an added level of problem for the person that's doing that. So I don't like to do that. So I think I would do that. That would be a workaround for me. When it comes to, if let's say you got a pile of pigs and you started seeing real shortages, what you would probably do, what I would do if I was you, is I would say, well, I gotta lessen the number of mouths I'm feeding around here. So who am I going to pick to cull out and put them in the freezer where they no longer eat anymore? But it becomes an asset to me, because in these times, I can sell sausage out of the freezer quite easily. And that would give me resources to do something else or trade it, you know. So inflation just seems to shake everything up. And if you view it with eyes that see opportunity, then you will find the ways to get through there. If you listen to the forces of chaos, right? You remember Maxwell Smart, and you had control, and that's where the chief worked, and Maxwell and Agent 99 worked, and all the good guys worked. And then you had the other side, and it was chaos, right? Spelled with a K, chaos. We still have that. I mean, we still have chaos. And a lot of the control agents, you know, have become chaos agents, right? They have. But when chaos is in charge, if you listen to them, sometimes they have some real nuggets of truth, because when chaos is in charge, yeah, they're creating chaos, but they're still managing. And you might remember years ago, I think it was Rahm Emanuel. He worked for President Obama, right? What a train wreck that was, in my humble opinion. But Rahm Emanuel said, you know, we don't want to let a good crisis go to waste, right? So the way they see it, chaos likes to do, when there's a crisis, well, they want to make something good out of that. They want to institute more control over the populace. And when they have control, as opposed to supposedly when control has control, do things for the good of the people. No, I don't really see that. When chaos has control, they're doing things for the good of them, right? and the people are just the food eaters, you know, the ones that go to work and create products that chaos can steal from them. Control never does that, right? So two entities that are pushing the beach ball across the pool back and forth at each other, right? And we're in the middle. That's like sometimes. And the good guys, right? Oh, when the good guys get control, it'll be great. I don't think so. And I'm not feeling that anymore. I'm just not feeling that. I'm feeling like get good for me when I see what these idiots are doing, and then I do the workaround. You know, that seems to be the way to go. So we're going to have a shortage of, let's say, I don't want to go there just yet, but we're going to have a shortage of feed. So, okay, less pigs because that takes grain to get them fed out. And hay is still going to grow. The grass is still going to grow. Oh, it's going to be a real cold, wet season. Doesn't matter. Grass is still going to grow. So let's eat more beef. Let's produce more beef then. That's our workaround. That's a very viable workaround these days, right? Okay. Inga's got something there before I get to. What would you do if the Constitution was overridden? That Constitution is my blanket of protection, and you're going to have to pull that away from me. So if someone tries to override the Constitution, that would be an illegal act, and I would respond to that, right? I would respond to that. That's not going to happen. Any of us that would respond to that in a very swift and furious manner. So I can tell you that is not going to happen. Not on my watch. It's not happening. I'm not going to allow that, right? I've already been down that road before, and you know, some very, very powerful organization in the state that I live, said for the good of the environment and for the good of the baby deer and of, you know, all of this stupid stuff that they said, we're going to have to override your constitutional rights. And I said, no, you're not. No, you're not. And we went down that road, and now we have a blueprint of how to deal with those scumbags, right? And yeah, they're the departments right now that they are inhabited by a lot of scumbags that would love to do that, and they take their marching orders not from us or our lawmakers, but from other entities, right? And the problem with that is the other entities are not powerful, right? And you seem to think that if the sheriff of our country said, "That's it, your Constitution here. I've got 15 deputies in." How far do you think you're going to get with 15 deputies? Well, down in this county, they have over 300 deputies. All right, how many of them deputies are going to start kicking doors? And do you know how rigorous that is to kick doors, especially with an armed population? It's not going to happen, right? We are not going to let that happen. Well, what if they bring in the United States troops in? Everybody at the UN, they must be, you know, U.S. military is here. They're here, and the Ukrainians are here, especially the good-looking. And then the UN, they're way up here. They're the best troops there is. But if you look at their equipment, they're driving really old Humvees. They're spray painted. And if you ever notice when they're carrying weapons, they never have magazines in the weapons. You can't trust them guys with real. So another lie that you've been told that, gee, there's some huge group of people out there that are going to start kicking doors, taking our guns from us, and then putting us down on the ground and putting a shot in our arm, you know. Not going to happen. This is a very country, and there's a lot of people in this country who are military, ex-military, retired military, law enforcement. Law enforcement, the law of the land is not mandates to put masks on. That's not the law of the land. The law of the land in the United States is the Constitution. So let's say United comes in, or the WHO. I love that one. The World Health Organization has disbanded the U.S. Constitution. Yeah, you and what friggin' army has done that? What friggin' army has done that? It's nothing, right? If it would be extremely painful for any politician that said, "Oh, I'm on board with that." Really? You better pack up your home and move inside the castle because you're not going to last long, right? You're going to have a real tough time. Politicians will say, "This is," and I can prove this to us. Long in our lives, me and you, and how long have we heard, from the left rattle their saber about, we've got to take the guns away from these people. We've got to get these weapons of war off the street. How long have we heard that? Go back to Bill Clinton when he did the magazine and the weapons ban. So they made it so, well, it was kind of like the pig thing. They said, oh, any weapon with these characteristics, we're banning them. Right? We're banning them. You banning them? You mean you got a law? No, it's a ban. Well, what does that mean? Is it a law? I mean, did the president say? No, it was a executive order ban. No, none of our heroes on the right, none of our heroes did a damn thing about it. They said, well, you can only have a magazine with 10 rounds in it. Well, what about all these 30 rounders that I got? Well, you can keep them. We just can't sell any more 30 rounders, but you could buy them at any gun show. And you can't have a bayonet lug on your AR-15. Okay, you can't have a flash suppressor. A flash suppressor, that makes that gun far more deadly. Okay, started making these rifles without a flash suppressor, without a bayonet lug, and you couldn't have a pistol grip on there because that makes it far more deadly with a pistol grip. So they made these stupid wraparound stocks. And now those things are collector's items because they made a few of them during that time to appease the then president, Bill Clinton. And now it's like over, right? So the shootings every now and then, we never know if they're real. This latest one was a guy that dressed up like Bruce Jenner and went in and blew a place up. We don't know if it happened. I mean, we just don't know. And the commander-in-chief or Sleepy Joe comes out and says, that's it. We got to get rid of these weapons of war. Does anybody think it's going to happen? Do you think it will happen? Why? Why can't they take our weapons? Because of the Second Amendment. You would have to repeal the Second Amendment. Try it. Try it. If you can get enough lawmakers to repeal the Second Amendment, well, maybe they'll get it done. But that's the only way they can do it. They have to repeal it. There is a process to do that. It's sort of like prohibition, but I don't think it will work. I don't think it will work. So you guys are getting way ahead of me on it. And I'm just trying to do it with this mouse, without the mouse. Okay, what if the Constitution were written? My question to you would be, by who? By who? Who is more powerful than this massive group of people that we have in the United States? That, by the way, are armed to the teeth and they're kind of pissed off right now, right? And I think I have a good reason to be kind of pissed off. And I think our sheriffs are with us. By the way, Haven, lack of parts for equipment. What happened when the scalder breaks down and you can't get the part, or the baler breaks down and the parts are not being made? All right, well, Right over here in Vogel Center, there is a welding shop, and there's one in Falmouth too. And they're amazing guys. You know, they're machinists and they are welders, they're fabricators, and we haven't been utilizing them because we can just go up to Napa and say, "Hey, can I get this part?" and they can find it. But recently, it's been kind of hit and miss whether you're going to get those parts. So now it's time to fab those parts locally. Can it be done? It certainly can. I mean, if there's a part, some of them are difficult, especially in the big tractors with a lot of computerized equipment. I am told, actually, my son Keith was working for one of the custom cutters. The majority of the problems that they would have, they would call a guy that would show up in a cute little van, and he would set himself up so nobody could really see what he's doing, and he'd hide his laptop, and he would in and out of the van, in and out of the van, codes, da 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 da, and then say it's fixed. But it was just a computer software thing. That was the majority of the problems that they are having. So if those components go down, yeah, that would be challenging. But I think you're going to see farms saying, I don't think I want that. If we have an injector pump that fails, are there people in this county that could pull that apart and repair it? Are there people that could do that? Yes. But when it comes to the software problems with that, John Deere has written their own software, and we got to call a guy in. They got to fly him into Grand Rapids and then bring him up here, to do this. That might not work. So you might see people saying, you know what, I'm not sure I want to do this high-tech stuff. By that time, Haven, there might be the chance that the real gain in farming is going to be in direct marketing. It might be. I mean, we have seen that to where, okay, we produce a ton of this, but by the time we get paid for it, the rate of gain is lower than if we a little bit or a little bit of it. Like I'm my rate of gain on my milk is way better than your guys. Way better, right? So I can produce a little bit of it. It's a stream into this farm, an income stream. And the rate of gain on the cows that I milk compared to what you guys make, it's not even in the same. I'm doing way better. Your chickens that you produce, your rate of gain is much higher than the big chicken houses down by that are doing 5,000 or is it 15,000 per house, per chicken house. They lose more per day than you produce in 56 days. So your rate of gain is much higher. So I think we'll see a lot more of that because people are going to have farming smart. You can't farm we were, and by that time will we be able to make as gain on subsidies by then? Will those still be in place? Who knows? Who knows? If you have parts availability of parts not exactly going too well, we'll use local shops that are going to say, you know what, we need to make these things. We can make these. We can do this. I know a shop right down here in Marion, you know it too, used to do a lot of truck painting. They're not anymore. They're working hand in hand with the machine shop right next door, and they're painting their parts. And those parts go to a larger assembly. I don't even know what the larger assembly is anymore. At one time, they were building parts for Tesla. This area around here used to build lots and lots of parts. Detroit. There was small shops everywhere and like from the lumber yard that now Morgan Composting owns. There used to be a shop in there that built wiring harnesses for Fisher Body, right? And Fisher Body does bodies for General Motors, and yeah, I believe. But there were 400 employees that worked there. 400 employees that when they closed it down, they left Marion. Marion was a pretty good sized town. And, it's really not now. It just doesn't have the number of people that it used to. So these things could come back. Kind of like notice over the corner of Falmouth Road and 6 is a parking there. Why is that there anyway? But before fuel was so cheap, like this is going way back into the 70s, fuel, in the 70s was, I was pumping 50 cents, but cars were burning and wages were a ton less. Prosperous times we've ever been, but the price of fuel, and we said, oh, gee, that's tough. How many guys will eat? So it's all relative. I remember when I went to work for Lockheed Plane Company, and I moved out to California, and I was getting paid $15 an hour. And back in Shrewsbury, I was getting like $6. And I thought, oh man, am I going to be rolling in it? Move out there, and apartments were really expensive, and I never lived in an apartment before. The apartment was really expensive, but I had 2 rooms, in a one-bedroom apartment, and one guy slept in a cot in the living room, another guy slept on the couch. I happen to have, but we all kind of just did, and we're able to do all right with it. So I'm sure you've heard need is the mother of invention. So the local guy who can things is going to be realtor. Right? That guy can. I remember hearing about the guys over in Falmouth at that welding shop. They're kind of old now, man's gone. And now the son, he's the old man. But I remember hearing about that before I left. And my wife's uncle would say, those guys can think. Now, that was back in the day where you didn't just Amazon and you'd have a new part showing up at your place. They had to make stuff, right? And I think we're heading back to that time. And I think instead of saying, yeah, bring me the latest thing, and I don't really care what it costs because I've just got to dispose of some money here. They're going to say, I don't really want that thing sitting around. I want something less complicated, right? Like the Amish do. I got some Amish friends over, and they bought a tractor from John Deere, and they wanted a bunch of stuff ripped off. Did not want that on there. And John Deere did what they could, but it still wound up being kind of a lemon because they just design them with so many bells and whistles now of junk that you don't need that. Okay. Yeah. Well, you can hear if parts break for the baler. There was a time, like my barn, you wonder why they have these hip-proof barns and they're so tight. Why did they do that? Because there's a rail up there, and it was what they called a hay hook assembly. So you would pull into the barn with loose hay. A wagon, and then the hay hook would come down. It would pick up this grip, and you'd pull the hay hooks up, and this basically on the hay mow loose, and they would stack hay out. So balers are the thing right now. I'm using a baler that was made in the 70s, and I'm thinking, hey, this thing's pretty good. I used it. The farmers around here, they're not interested in that stuff. Know that thing will work, even if it's at working at about 60%, it will still cut hay, So people will go back to the older equipment. People will do whatever they have to do. It's like, all right, we don't have baby formula. Rachel Maddow telling you, baby formula. Well, there's no baby formula. So what? Baby's going to die because of that? I mean, they'll tell you that, but if you're a mother and you can't get baby formula, are you going to do something? You're going to figure something out. You will figure something out. Maybe you're going to have to, there's options. It's not always like, it's similar. I can't talk. Guess that kid's going to die. It's not going to happen. People figure it out. Okay. Chicken for beef. And says, Inga, route of running out of fiat currency, not a problem. We can start till the parallel system is in place. That is gold backed. Okay, well that's a solution. That's a solution. I do. But you're right. Until that solution is in place, sure, we're gonna barter. And Luann points something out here, and Ingrid, and I think this is true. It's what ifs is fear programming. When you get that, you have arrived. What if the dam breaks? Don't go down that road. Don't really don't go down that road. What ifs is something that should be in your heart, like situation, and put a pool in the. What if? I talked about that earlier. What if in my heart? I don't even want to say that. But there ain't going to be a what if, because I built a gate, and it's on a spring hinge that shuts every time. And it can be held open when the kids are playing and they want to go back and forth. And there's always the possibility that something could happen. So I hold that. But when they're putting out the what ifs, I don't know. I think it's done to program you into fear, right? Okay. I agree, Luann. I've said since the beginning that we don't need a money world, and it can get done, but most people fight me on the idea. Well, maybe, but the thing is, Luann, when the rubber hits the road, that's when things get fixed. Like, we still have that we're using. If the fiat currency becomes like the Weimar Republic, where you have to have a wheelbarrow full of it to get a loaf of bread, were people really doing that? I'm sure it happened, but people were saying, "Hey, I'm not interested in your money. What else you got?" Yeah. Yeah, you plant the seed, because it's not. I don't worry about what other people think either. It's sort of like the Titanic, when the Titanic hit an iceberg. If that's what happened, I don't even know anymore. I mean, who knows? But there were people that said, "No, this thing's unsinkable. Just like, my dinner's coming. Bring my dinner." And there were other people that were going and saying, hey, the ship's filling up with water. I've seen it. It's filling up with water. Don't worry about it. This thing ain't going to sink. And then it did. Right. So is the ship going to sink? I don't know. But telling people that it is sinking, I don't know if that's a real good idea unless you know it's sinking. And I don't really know it's sinking. I'm not sure. Okay, Justin. I had the fab parts on my Bridgeport for my Gale hay-bine because they are obsolete. Well, there you go. At least you can make them. Everyone is to stay in the old or create their new world. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Thinking and problem solving is making a comeback. Quite a few squeaky brains are learning to run on their own again. Yeah. It's fun, isn't it? It's kind of exciting. I think so. And I feel like when I come here, honestly, you're receptive to the things that I say, and I actually get a charge out of this. Okay, so I gotta. Okay. Oh, Luann says I'm breaking up. Coastal's with us. Where you been, man? Luann, baby formula recipe from the film line. Okay, I'm throwing out what it's because you asked. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, and then I beat you up for it, right? Sorry about that. Don't take it wrong. All right, if I'm breaking up, so I'll hit the bricks on an hour and a half anyway. So I'm going to appreciate everybody coming by. Remember, we're not going to be on tomorrow night. I have things to do. We'll be back Thursday, and we will broach another subject. I appreciate everybody coming by. If you do me a solid and go over to the Anyone Can Farm Experience on YouTube and subscribe, please, and like the videos there and share. That's Joe's handiwork working with us now. I'd really like to give the channel a boost. It gives Joe a boost, gives us a boost too. I'd like to expand our footprint. We're thinking ahead towards Tribe Day and getting a lot of input on Tribe Day. So I think it's going to be a deal. We're going to have people here teaching classes that do the thing. They do the thing. We are kicking around the idea because we had way more people than we have time for on Saturday, of having a little overflow on Sunday, of calling it skills sharing day. So people want to do things. And do we want to, I don't really feel comfortable with saying, oh no, we've got the day full, so you'll have to wait till next year. No, I don't feel good about it. I think that the time is now. I feel that sharing skills is critical, and not just now, but always. It is always critical to do that. You only get to live on this earth for 90-something years. I'm living for 140, but you only get to live for 90. So you got to get this stuff down. You got to learn these things and then become really proficient at it so that you can pass it on. I mean, we need a sense of urgency to get this done. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work, but we've had several people that are offering really cool things that we would like to offer so people can see it. So there's more to come on that. A Tribe Day is coming. I hope people join us for that. Okay. All right. Luann saying, okie dokie, Mark, have a great day. All right. I'm cutting out. Oh, you going 190? Maybe I would too. I honestly would. If That would mean that I would stay the way I am right now for as long as it took me to get here. And that would be fine because everything still works. I would be fine. Actually, the things that have slowed down, it's probably better that they did slow down, you know? All right. Oops. I'm going to end the stream. Good night, Yuns. Anyone can farm.